probably should talk about what went down on Friday around the Toronto Blue Jays. And look, another rough moment. Is that about right?
Rough.
Too weak, too strong. It was rough.
Oh, it's perfect.
Look, I don't know that any of us really expected that Roki Sasaki was going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. But we did talk mid last week or on the Monday show, I can't remember, about the fact that they were in it. They apparently had gotten right down to the final three. And at that point, you start to try and talk yourself into it and figure out what would have to happen for you to get the guy. And we sort of hear midday Friday, the Jays have traded for $2 million in international free agent pool space. And just to circle back on that quickly, if you're not totally familiar with how that works, this isn't typical free agency. You're only allowed to sign international amateurs up to like $6 million. But you're allowed to trade to up that. You can take $1 million from Minnesota. Now they only have 5 and you have 7, right?
In the larger pool, there's only so much available.
Right. So the Jays had done that. And that got a lot of people going,
including me.
And me. And an awful lot of people. You wouldn't make a trade like that, bringing back $11 million in useless player dead salary, unless you were pretty sure you had the guy. You just needed that space.
Hey, guy.
A couple hours go by, and the Dodgers got the guy. And then...
Go fucking figure.
Then they traded for some international free agent pool space after they knew they had the guy. Interesting approach.
Wow, Matt. That seems shrewd, doesn't it?
I have, I don't know if you'd call it, you could, I guess, defended this front office more than most.
Certainly more than most at this table.
And their record and the things that they have done. And there is no shame in missing out on Roki Sasaki. You'd love to have him. You wanted the guy. You wanted the player. There was lots of other organizations who have frankly been accusing the Dodgers for a very long time that this was already done. They had tampered with him. You got to go through the charade of, I'm not sure whether there's anything to that or not. But you were in the mix. And you and I talked about this last week, that this wasn't using the Jays because of Rogers' money to drive up the price on Soto or drive up the price on Ohtani. Hey, if you don't give him that, we got Rogers up in Toronto who will. Because of this international free agent cap, no one could spend. You were all going to be in the same neighborhood.
You're all in the same ballpark, yeah.
And so I don't think there's any shame in missing out on the guy. But to go out and trade for $2 million in international pool space, and because you don't want to give up, and I kind of get this part too, you don't have any great prospects. You don't have a lot to trade, and what little you do have, you don't want to trade. So instead of trying to send something to Cleveland to get their $2 million in space, like, what's your worst fucking contract? You know, not the one we already took in Jimenez. What's your second worst contract? Well, Miles Straw is a guy who at one point, and is still a very, very, very good defensive outfielder, but cannot hit. And Toronto's like, oh, man.
Guess what?
We love those guys.
We specialize in that.
So they go, we'll take $2 million in your international pool, and we'll take Miles Straw, who is owed $11 million over the next 2 years. It's $5 million this year. It's $6 million next year. And then we won't get the fucking player.
There's nothing coming into the outfield, though. There's no ball dropping out there. This Toronto outfield is locked down.
I'm still waiting for the Blue Jays balls to drop here at some point and get something to happen.
Oh, Johnny High Voice.
This was humiliating.
This is the thing that's going to put you over the top on this front office? Seriously.
I want them
I'm flabbergasted by that.
to be involved with the big stars. I need you to use your financial might as like the 4th biggest market in the league to get the fuck involved. And if somebody uses you now and then in a negotiation, that's going to happen. That's not what happened here. The fact that you couldn't say to Cleveland, we'll call you when we hear what's happening with Roki Sasaki is incompetence. Because this, we've talked about baseball, it doesn't have a hard cap, but it has its luxury tax.
Yep. It's a soft
right.
cap.
There are levels to this. And so now, for the next 2 years, you got $5 million and $6 million in a guy that Cleveland outrighted last March. Hey, you're going to play for our minor league team because they made a mistake, and we were happy to take that mistake from them just to make room. You don't do it until you have assurances from the guy. And I'm sure if you wanted to justify it for them, and let's be fair, let's be realistic, they would have been worried that LA, who has more money than God, is the next team in line in Cleveland that will take that $2 million. It makes it easier for them to get them.
We want to snag that space.
Right. So these things are on the table. But the fact that you went ahead and traded for the space, and it came with a brutal contract that will count against your competitive balance tax for the next 2 years, and then didn't get the player.
So you have no time for the shrewdness that is removing that availability from Los Angeles' options. We've taken that from them.
I probably did at the time. Like, in the moment, I was like, maybe LA is trying to do the same. Maybe the Padres are still in this and trying to do the same.
Yep.
But when you see that Roki Sasaki posted on his Instagram, I'm going to the Dodgers turn around, trade a nothing outfield prospect to, I can't remember where the first one was, and then another one to Cincinnati to open up their space. And you're like,
would have been better if it was Toronto, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it have been better if it was Toronto?
That's, yeah.
Afterwards going, I could use that $2 million.
That's what you do. That's how a professional organization operates. Make sure you get the guy, then make the trade for the space.
Welcome in, Matt. The water is no longer warm. It's fucking icy cold, and it feels like October swimming.
Warm of
urine,
piss, and
feces.
Soft deuce.
Oh, the soft deuce. So here's the deal. And to me, we can talk, and we have on this podcast, about Toronto being used for years. You are now at a spot now where, to me, exactly what you're talking about is the desperation that this front office is operating with. They went ahead and made this move up front and then came up fucking empty.
And now you're a laughingstock. Like, I didn't have time for the idea that they were a laughingstock on Soto or Ohtani.
Really?
You have to try. You have to try.
Oh, they're trying.
Right.
I don't think they're not trying. I just think that it's always like you are that person who's always like, I'll do that, but I never get chosen, or I never get...
Right, but you were with me a week ago on this one, on Sasaki.
Yes, I was.
So
yes, I was.
You were with me that they were in on this and that they were trying and that they should have been trying.
But I also thought long before that this front office was bullshit.
Well, yeah.
So
now they are being laughed at and the idea that people are now going, this is where Ross has to get fired. This did not happen without Shapiro's involvement. He would have been very in on all this. And so to me, this is sort of a Miles straw that broke the camel's back kind of situation.
Oh,
and
look at that guy. He's a pro.
But it's probably not gonna.
Of course, it's
4 weeks from spring training, and while you're in the now you're stuck with this. But this is humiliating. This is embarrassing. Those guys had no choice. No, I shouldn't say they had no choice, but there was no reason not to try on Soto and Ohtani, and there was no reason not to try on Sasaki. And missing on Sasaki is fine. But all of baseball is talking about what the fuck was that?
It's Miles Straw that's the issue for you.
It's the trade that took on unless Rogers has already said to you, hey, if you miss on this guy, you can still we'll allow you to go sign 2 out of the 3, right? Pete Alonso, Bregman, Santander. If you can grab 2 of those 3 and then, I don't know, make a trade for a pitcher, get flip, you can you have to show that money isn't now going to hold you up. You can't come out and say, well, we got $5 million on Miles Straw. We can't afford to go into the next. Fuck you. So that's your fault.
If they still show up with Santander and Bregman, how do you feel about this?
Well, I won't really care as much.
Right.
Like, as long as you still go out and use your financial might now.
But you need to do shit.
Yeah, you cannot walk into spring training and go to Vladdy on the last day before spring training opens where he has said he's not going to talk anymore and go, we tried. You want to sign? No? Okay, I get it.
Bo?
Anybody?
No.
Bueller?
No.
This is brutal. They're in a bad spot.
I'm surprised Miles Straw is, as you suggest.
It's not the player. It's this hit under on your finance.
I'm surprised that this is the part that has swayed you
look
over to here.
Stupid. This is incompetence. If the Dodgers were willing to wait, get the player, and then make the trade, you could have done the same.
Well, see, now, I'm not going to defend the Jays front office. I will defend the situation. The Dodgers are that person who's like, I am swimming. There's so much ass coming my way. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right. You have this choice.
Yoshinobu, Yamamoto's coming in to talk. Shohei's coming in to meet with them. You got Freddie Freeman.
Everybody is looking to them going, they're winning.
Yeah.
I'm going there. I want to be there. That's the place I want to be. Whereas, so they have that inherent built-in advantage already. So I am not defending the Jays front office, but I am simply saying, yeah, the Dodgers are in a very enviable position.
Of course. But
you have to work harder to counteract that. And
but sometimes that comes with chances. But since this isn't a money deal, right? The max any of these teams could have paid the guys $8 million.
Yes.
You don't have to say to him where you're getting up to $8 million. You just have to say, here's our program. Here's what we're doing. Are you interested or not? And we'll find the $8 million.
You Lou Lamoriello this, and you figure out.
Right. Well, that's
make
exactly what the Dodgers did.
And then I'm going to figure out afterwards, how do I fit this in?
And they clearly already had it in their back pocket. The Dodgers.
Yep.
We know Cincinnati will do it for this, and
so we didn't take away enough options from them. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
How many Miles Straws? How many Miles Straw? Yes, this is it. Now you
don't make the trade till you know you got the guy.
All right, and as you suggested to me, this is not Atkins on his own.
No,
there is all the way up the chain, and at this point now, you can only make this right by bringing in two more big fish.
And isn't that going to, like, as you
luxury tax this motherfucker out the yin-yang?
Friday night and Saturday, it's been reported that the Jays had re-engaged even harder on Santander. We're coming at you. Pete Alonso, we'll see. Bregman, we'll see. But those guys now know you are desperate.
Guess what?
You are so desperate.
Oh, wait, I'm not taking your call.
Yeah.
Unless you hit this threshold.
I am now a 10 at 2, right? Yeah. Like, let's go. What do you got for me?
You are indeed, my friend.
It's true. I know. I know when to make my move.
He does, man.
It's after 3.
And you should see those moves.
So you're desperate anyway now, right? But you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to go make some noise somewhere. And those guys know it, and you're in a bad spot. And so, look, losing out on Sasaki isn't the end of the world. The trade is shit. And if you try to come out and say, either before spring training or at the trade deadline, you know, we're $3 million away, we could have done this or that, but we didn't have the space because we spent
overpay.
You're going to have to just eat it. And if you do that, if you come out and still spend the money, well, then fine. That's you using your financial might. You pay the fucking competitive balance tax. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
Right.
Because you have, if you look at for the second or third year in a row, you have upped ticket prices through the fucking yin-yang.
Got a new high-end club. I think it's Club 328 or 318.
But it is honestly, it's hockey prices on double the number of games.
Right.
And so you are now looking at, you have priced yourself into a spot where you better fucking produce. You better bring absolute talent,
Yeah.
or I'm not going.
Yeah, go find me Flaherty and then sign 2 of the 3.
Two of the
Bregman,
three.
Yeah,
100%,
Bregman,
man.
Alonso, and Santander. If you do that and show us the money wasn't the problem, then fine.
Well, because I don't want to hear when you have the money you have as Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that
You were
can't.
willing to throw 700 at Soto or
This is
600
it.
at
This is
Soto
it, man.
and 700
And
at
so-
Ohtani.
And if not,
figure it out.
if not, I want to see a rebuild. That's it.
That's
man.
where we're at.
That's it.
Yep.
If you can't bring in 2 of the 3, I want to see you dealing and atomic waste this thing. Like really,
Since Ross just took an atomic wedgie.
yeah.
Why not?
The seesaw wedgie. Love that. Love that. And check back with me. Check back with me in 3 years, and we'll see where we're at.
Probably check back within like 3-4 days though instead.
No. But I'm just saying,
On this,
there's lots. But this is it.
Yeah.
We are getting down to as January comes to a close. You are getting closer and
By
closer.
Valentine's Day, pitchers and catchers are
100%,
reporting.
man.
We're all ready to
So
love baseball again.
You need to
Be a
figure this
long
out.
Summer, man. If this is where we're
Well, man.
get it done.